Welcome, guys, to your week one recap of football back in America, boys. It's back. It's so back. You can feel the energy in the air. You can feel it week one. Fortunately, a lot of guys disappointed if you're fantasy football. Into fantasy football, like I am, and a lot of people are right now. But first game of the week, we had the Cowboys Eagles. This first half was arguably one of the most exciting halves of the week one. The problem is the lightning delay. Second half really disappointed. CeeDee Lamb had two crazy crucial drops and a third one that he could have caught on that fourth and long. But yeah, he just did not have the game. He still actually gave you a good fantasy outing. Dak, on the other hand, did not, but probably, like I heard some of the guys say, one of the best 7-point fantasy outings you'll get from a quarterback. He played actually really well. Javonte Williams, kind of this shocker, kind of partially why Dak didn't play so well is because Javonte had two rushing touchdowns. He is a starting running back, and he's going to get a ton of carries. Jaden Blue was loved in the offseason by a lot of people. Healthy scratch. I don't know how much he plays this year, to be honest. Yeah, that's not a great sign for him. Following that game was one of the best games of the week. Was Chargers Chiefs in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Chargers took home the victory. I had picked them over them. I picked the Chiefs. I picked the Chargers over the Chiefs, and I pick them. I did. And man, was I happy to pick up that dub. But Chargers won this game, and Justin Herbert looked like the old version of Justin Herbert. Elite, moved around along the pocket, had some good runs, including the game-sealing 14-yard run. The biggest takeaway from this game, obviously, was the Xavier Worthy injury. Not exactly sure how out he's going to be. They say he's day-to-day. I would be shocked if he plays this week. I think he'll miss at least 1 week. Which makes Hollywood Brown an interesting pickup on the waiver wire for sure, if you're into that. He's not one of my top priorities, though, as I'll get to my top priorities as we go down this list. But, yeah, Mahomes back to being fantasy relevant quarterback, I think, because the running game just isn't there. Chargers do have one of the best run defenses. Not complete panic on Pacheco, but definitely a little bit worried, especially sharing it with Kareem Hunt as much as he did. One of our first games in the Sunday slate, we had Cardinals, Saints. This game expected to be a little more low scoring just because of the Saints, and they're kind of their mess of a franchise right now. Chris Olave is very, very serviceable. I will say that right now. Chris Olave, 7 catches, 50 yards. Had a little bit of, questionable here and there as he was taken in and out of the game after a few big hits. I believe he's going to be all right. Juwan Johnson also had a pretty good game besides dropping the game-tying touchdown pass that was in his hands. Absolute dot by Spencer Rattler. Rattler actually didn't look awful on Sunday. Did not look amazing, obviously, but not look awful. But Cardinals won the game 2013. The biggest takeaway, I think, for the Cardinals side of it is Marvin Harrison taking advantage of what he got. He had 6 targets, caught 5 of them for 70 yards and touchdown. He's one of my favorite guys in fantasy this year because last year he was so hyped up that he disappointed, and now he fell to around 3, 4, fantasy drafts, and he's the wide receiver, clear wide receiver 1. Him and Trey McBride are going to take all the offense in this offense, and he really had a good game, in my opinion. I think that's just going to build as the season goes on. The Jags absolutely thumped the Panthers 26-10 in their game. This game was Travis Etienne show, straight up. Nobody else really was worth anything in this game. Brian Thomas laid a huge egg. He had a rushing touchdown, but only 1 catch compared to Travis Hunter's 6, I believe. Or Travis Hunter had more catches than Brian Thomas this week. I'm not too concerned about it. I think it's just a weird week. They did not have to move the ball that often. Panthers looked awful. So they didn't really need to throw the ball, and they had a game delay. It just was a weird week for them in general. I'm not worried about Brian Thomas really at all, to be honest, unless this continually happens week in, week out. Buccaneers beat the Falcons. This was a very interesting game. Younghoe Koo missed the game-tying field goal for the Falcons. Michael Penix looked really nice. Drake London did leave the game at the very end. If you watched it, he had a touchdown catch that he. But anyway, London with the AC joint sprain. Some guys think he's going to be out a week or two. I really don't. I think he might play this week. If at worst, he might miss a week at the very latest. But he has such a good game as far as volume-wise, target-wise. I think 8 catches, 50 yards. Didn't amount to a ton, but If Penix is going to look his way 16 times a game, 100% ranked as a wide receiver, one in the top 12. 100%. Darnell Mooney did miss this game, but Kyle Pitts kind of stepped up. 7 catches, 50 yards. Not a bad game from old Pitty there. The thing is, if Mooney comes back, does Pitts kind of decline a little bit? I think so. If you're a Pitts lover, you have a reason to be hyped right now, but we'll see as the season continues. Buccaneers side, Mike Evans, 5 for 50. Not looked that great. He's still the wide receiver one as he out-targeted the new rookie, flashy, Mecca Buka, who everybody loves. Everybody loves. 2 tugs in this game for him. I mean, shout out, amazing game. Like, amazing. I mean, you can't ask for a better game. Like, for, first game for a rookie, game-tying touchdown. Go-ahead touchdown in the late fourth quarter. Well, not touchdown earlier. Amazing game. Congrats to him. He's very much on the fantasy radar. I think he's pretty close to must start this week until at least for sure till Godwin gets back. And even when Godwin gets back, I think Ibuka is still very much a high-quality start until we see Godwin take those snaps from him. Steelers-Jets. I'm going to call this a surprise of the week. Nobody expected this game. Had the lowest over-under, if I'm not mistaken. Yet, Steelers, Chris Boswell, 60-yard field goal, take the lead. And Jalen Ramsey calls game with an absolute textbook smoke hit. Like, as a football fan, you love seeing that just lowering the shoulder and putting into the gut of the dude, jarring that ball loose. What a hit. What a way to end the game, honestly. Of course, the defensive play and offensive game. Surprisingly, I've not been a Justin Fields guy, but Justin Fields looked fantastic in this game. Against a pretty solid defense, to be honest. And honestly, so did Rodgers against a solid defense. If Justin Fields on your fantasy waivers, 100% hitting him up, definitely. A-Rod, probably still holding off on him, honestly. Unless it's super flex, then obviously should be rostered already. Breece Hall looked amazing in this game. I was not a Breece Hall guy. Not at all. Very little confidence in this man. But looking as confident as he did, I am, you know what, might send out some trade offers. We'll see. But looked amazing. Really, really good. Steelers side, spread the ball around way too much. DK Metcalf, 4 catches, 80 yards. Solid day, but unfortunately did not catch any of the touchdowns from A-Rod. Calvin Austin, on the other hand, looked kind of nice. 4 for 70, a touchdown. He is one of my favorite waiver ads. Not a top priority, but definitely up there. And I think I missed saying it, but from the Jags game, Bashaw Tootin, Tank Bigsby did get traded after that game to the Eagles. Tank Bigsby is dead. Drop him in every league, in my opinion. But Bashaw Tootin is one of the major ads. And the reason I say that is, yes, Travis Etienne looked amazing, but the last couple of years have been rough for that guy. And I don't know how long he can sustain the state of pace he's on. Bashaw Tootin, one of the top-end handcuffs. And on top of that, just, I really liked his draft profile. I really did. I really liked his film. I think he can break out this year. I really do. So he's one of my top waiver ads, along with Calvin Austin and a couple other guys coming up. And also, I know we missed it, my bad, from the Chargers game, but Quentin Johnston and Keenan Allen both are must. Keenan Allen is a must add. If top of the order, if he's still in your league, you have to add him. Him and Justin Herbert got that old connection. They back. He is going to hurt Len McConkey. And then obviously the kind of breakout of the week, Quentin Johnston was fantastic. 5 for 79 and 2 tugs. It won't happen every week, but definitely a top waiver ad if he's on your waiver list. Definitely. Let's get back to the game still. Bengals, Browns. I thought Bengals playing their starters in the preseason, not going to lie, was going to help them out a lot. But, man, they looked awful. The offensive line looked awful. When you have back-to-back sacks or first, second, and third down, Burrows sitting on his butt, like almost a safety, like, what are we doing? Like, this is awful. Like, you've got to clean this up. Like, this will be the Achilles heel for the Bengals, almost more than the defense, maybe, possibly, if this continues. I'm going to sneak it out due to the kicker for the Browns not be able to hit anything. Missed a field goal and an extra point in this game. They're 1-0, which is always good to be 1-0, I guess. The other big waiver ad for me, one of my favorites actually, is going to be Cedric Tillman. Jerry Jeudy probably number 1, but Cedric looked really good. 6 for 16 at touchdown. Best fantasy performance for them. Looks solid. One of the top targets. And last year, he kind of did this before he had a season-ending concussion. He and Judy were running together, and he almost outperformed Judy every week. Then Cedric went down, and Judy really had that huge stretch with Joe Flacco. And everyone loved Judy, and I like Judy too still. But Tillman is keep your eye on Tillman. That's all I'm saying. I think you should definitely be a top waiver tier pickup. Um, Colts Dolphins. Yeah, Dolphins. This is definitely the biggest surprise of the week. I wasn't high on the Dolphins really by any means. I do have Tyreek in the league. I do like that. I think he'll do fine the rest of the year. I'm not too worried about Tyreek, but this Dolphins offense looked awful. Awful. Tua looked awful. Everything looked awful. It was horrid. The Colts, Danny Dimes looked like prime Patrick Mahomes / John Elway / Peyton Manning in a Colts jersey. The Dolphins look helpless. I have no idea where the rest of the season is going to be. It looked awful. On the Colts side, Michael Pittman and Tyler Warren were the top two factors. Tyler Warren looks amazing. I love this guy for fantasy this year. I think he's going to be one of the top tight ends by the time the season up and over. Josh Downs kind of sketchy. I see a lot of guys want to drop him here and there. I want to hold on to this guy a little bit longer. This game was no need to pass the ball. Zero necessary to pass the ball. They had no reason to pass the ball. So I'm really holding on to Josh Downs. But with the Dolphins, rumor is that if they don't win, if they're not competent in 6-7 games, Miami Daniels is gone. And I think that's a very, very valid point. This team can spiral out of control this year. Who knows? But they do not look good at all. Raiders, Patriots. Raiders won this game 2013. Drake May looked a little disappointing so far. It was big Drake May guy right here, and it just did not look amazing. Week 1, knock off the rust. Hopefully, they play the Dolphins next week. I really expect them to bounce back. Kind of surprising, but Kayshon Boutte was the number 1 wide receiver in the New England offense. Snaps percentage, reception percentage, target percentage, everything. I think yards. It just was the wide receiver 1. I am a little bit hesitant. I do think Diggs' snaps will ramp up as the season goes on. He said there was no restrictions, but I think the offense took it a little slow with him coming back from the ACL injury. Udi is still a number 1 ad. Is still a top 5 ad on my waiver wires. He looked really, really solid. And he was a highly touted prospect coming out of LSU before the injuries hit. So there is definitely room for fantasy value there. Raiders-wise, Gentry did not look amazing. He will get better as the season goes on. Jacoby Myers had a good game. Not much more to say after that. I'm really curious. Brock Bowers did leave with an injury. It looked a little sketch at the time, but now news coming out. Looks like it's not that big of a deal. He may miss a week. I'm not exactly sure yet on that. I think he's a day. We'll see. Good news is Brock said himself that the coaches held him from going back in, which means he was physically able, in his opinion. But yeah, we'll see as it goes on. He's definitely a huge factor if he misses this next game. That would be huge. Before he got hurt, though, the guy was on fire, 5 for 100, and felt like the first few plays. It felt like that. It was really good for him. Moving on to Commanders Giants, and Russell Wilson looks awful. Like, straight up. Commanders, Deebo Samuel looked like a little bit like the old Deebo Samuel. Looked really, really good. Wasn't the best performance by them, putting up only 21 points in this game. But it's what it is. They got the win. They didn't need to score a bunch. The Giants are awful right now. Malik Neighbors is frustrated. That's the problem if you draft Malik, is the quarterback issues might haunt him this year. And that's a big deal. That really, really sucks. But he's going to be a target volume, 5 for 70 with how bad they played. Feels like it can only go up from there. Like, I'd argue Russell Wilson's worst game was probably this week. And Malik was still a relevant start in PPR leagues. Ja'Cory Cross-Merritt is the hot topic. And if he is available, I can't imagine he'd be available in many leagues. If he is anywhere, pick him up ASAP. This guy will take over. And obviously the hype was there, but being ranked low on the depth chart, we should have known when Chris Rodriguez was in healthy scratch. We should have known right away he was going to pop. But Eckler looks old, and Ja'Cory looks electric. 10 carries, 80-plus yards. Yeah, that's scary. I think he's definitely taking over. I got him in a few fantasy leagues. I'm feeling really good about having him. Very, very good. Titans Broncos. Broncos did not look amazing. Bo Nix had a few stretches here, and then he went cold for a while, and actually allowed the Titans to kind of get into it. Cam Ward looked like a rookie. Really did look like a rookie, to be honest. Like, made some plays here and there, but the Broncos defense is nothing to be like, short come of. Like Calvin really not have a great fantasy day. Pass Sertan is elite. Like, he did this last year. You avoided Pass Sertan. Like, but you can't when you have only one receiver and Sertan's gonna be following him all over the field. Not really worried about really. I kind of knew this would kind of happen. Kind of just a bad matchup in general for him. Niners Seahawks. This game has a lot of injuries. Really does. The Niners lost a ton of pieces. Kittle, IR. You have to find somebody else. The backup tight end, Tungies. I really don't know. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that name, but maybe a waiver wire streamer if you're awful at tight end. Deep in dynasty leagues, he's available. And if you're available in dynasty leagues, you're pretty much available anywhere. Like, to be honest, but Niners win this game 17-13. Low-key surprised. Sam Darnold looked actually good, and I was a little bit surprised. I was not a big fan of Sam Darnold this year. He actually looked pretty nice until he fumbled that last play, but that was not really his fault. Supposed to push the lineman right into him. But also, at this time of recording, Brock Purdy just got essentially ruled out for this Sunday's game, and Mac Jones is starting. I'm not sure what to do with Ricky Pierce at all. I have him in a league, and it's like Mac Jones starting, but yet all volume should be funneled through him. Juwan Jennings also got hurt in this game. He avoided a major injury, though. That's the good side of it. But yeah, it's just a weird game. JSN, though, looks amazing. And Kenneth Walker, RIP, my man. Yeah, it did not look good. Did not look good on the field for him. Shaq Charbonnet took a lot of carries. Yeah, it just did not look good for him at all. Yeah, I don't know if I feel safe even starting the man right now, to be honest with you guys. Lions, Packers put the belt to backside on the Lions and thumped them. But fantasy value, though, was kind of weird in this game. Jacobs scored a touchdown. Jahmyr Gibbs caught 10 passes. But Packers didn't need to do any offense. They just manhandled the Lions on defense. So overall, the weird game. Tucker Kraft scored a touchdown. Jordan Love looked really good, in my opinion. But Mendy Golden, stud, rookie receiver, only 2 catches. Dobbs, 2 catches. Reed, 3 catches, 4 catches. Wicks, 2 catches. The offense didn't need to happen. For the Lions, it just did not happen. Jameson Williams, I think, 4 catches for 30 yards or 3 catches for 20 yards or, just not much. Monroe, 3 catches, 30 yards, 5 catches, 50 yards. Just not much offense anywhere in this game. Laporte had a decent game, but just a very weird week one. Packers look really good, though. They could be primed for a deep playoff run this year. We will see. Texans, Rams. Texans line is offense. Offensive line is awful. Awful. It is terrible. Xavier Stroud is not time to throw the ball. Rams defense looks good too. Nico only 5 fantasy points. Him and Jamar Chase both was awful this week. Both had the 5-point range. It was awful. I started both of them in the league. If you told me that Chase and Nico were going to combine for 10 points, I would have called you crazy. That's insane, but yet they did. It was the way. It's week one. I'm not worried about Nico at all. Whereas Jayden Higgins, a lot of guys like him. Round 2 wide receiver, Texans receiver. I don't know. Rookie. We'll see how that goes. But the Texans, if the offensive line is this bad, it's going to be rough outside of Nico, to be honest. It's Nick Chubb had a decent game, but once again, if the offensive line is this bad, I don't know when it's going to get better. They trade away with their best offensive lineman, Larry Tunsil, to the Texans in the offseason. I don't know when it's going to get better, to be honest. We will see as this season goes on, though. Sunday night, probably one of the best games of the year. Ravens, Bills, 41-40. Classic Ravens choke. Josh Allen, amazing fantasy game. Almost a 40 burger. 250 yards passing in the second half or fourth quarter alone. It was unbelievable, that comeback. Down by 15 with the Ravens running the way they're running, and the Derrick Henry fumbles. It was the weirdest. It was one of the weirder games. It was an amazing game. Offense galore. Everything. And Keon Coleman looked electrically really good. It's not huge high on that guy, but Is he the wide receiver one in Buffalo? We will see. He did look amazing. Khalil Shakir 6 for 60, classic Shakir game. Kincaid 4 for 40 and touchdown. That's compared to last year. Kincaid really had a good night. But this was an amazing game all around. You love it if you're one of those two teams. Monday Night Football, the Vikings and Bears. The Bears are going to be the Bears. I mean, you're talking about choking a 17-6 lead to a rookie quarterback who played awful the first 3 quarters. JJ McCarthy played pretty nice the fourth quarter. Really good fourth quarter. I'm not going to overhype it, to be honest. Like, he played 1 quarter of good football. That's all. That's really all. He did have a good quarter, though. You should rushing upside, which is really good if you have in fantasy, I guess. Caleb really fell off after his 10 for 10 start. Just really not looked that great. Missed DJ Moore for the touchdown. But overall, this Bears team kind of kicked themselves in the foot. They a little after the 2-minute warning, and they were kicking off to the Vikings, and they wanted to kick the ball at the back of the end zone. I'm positive was their intention, and either the kicker just did not get all of it, or just misunderstood the assignment, because that's what'll lose you a game, is the small mistakes like that, and it really hurt them in this game. And could have arguably cost them the win. DJ Moore got roughed up a little bit. I don't think it'll be in long term. Roman Dunze, the targets of the wide receiver one. It's gonna be the production's gonna be all kind of Caleb based. In the running game, the DeAndre Swift, Roshan Johnson was ruled out. Kyle Monunga got 1 catch but no carries. Like, I'm feeling pretty good about Swift if I have him in fantasy, to be honest with you. 100%. If you have him in fantasy, feel really comfortable with him. Vikings, Aaron Jones, Jordan Mason. I went Jordan Mason more than Aaron Jones right now, to be honest, almost. Jones had the receiving touchdown, the long one, so that really helped you out. Maybe won you a week even. But Jordan Mason looks really good. Yeah, this game was kind of weird. Like I said, the fantasy value wasn't really there. Justin Jefferson had a receiving touchdown, but other than that, had like 5 catches. Just wasn't amazing. Jordan Adams will be back in a few weeks, but yeah, just overall, just kind of interesting game. Cole Kmet, I think, actually outsnapped Colston Loveland. Colston Loveland ain't startable in my opinion. I was always on the. Right now, he had 2 catches, I think 12 yards. He's not startable in my opinion at all. Like, this week, no interest in starting him. But yeah, that's kind of the roundup from week 1. I'm gonna go over my top waiver wire ads again. For running backs, for quarterbacks, I'm gonna say Justin Fields is the main one I'm only concerned about. If you're gonna pick up Jordan Love or Drake May on the wire, that also might be a good pickup. Running back pickups, it kind of starts and ends with a few names, and Dylan Sampson is one of those that I don't know if I talked about much, but the Browns, he really had a big receiving role for the Browns, and a lot of them think he's going to retain it after Judkins is back. Judkins did get signed. He is back in practice. Really, in my opinion, hurts Dylan Sampson is a little bit why I'm not as high on him. But if Judkins is available in any league, I'm dumping a lot of fab on that man, a lot of fab. I think he's really going to take over in this offense. But Bajal Tootin and Trey Benson are the other ones. Trey Benson, 8 carries, 60 yards. Like, the guy looked actually pretty decent, really decent. And I think he's going to split carries with James Conner. James Conner is aging. He's not a young guy anymore. He really isn't. So Trey Benson and Bajal Tootin are the 2 guys I'm really interested in. If Dylan Sampson too, maybe. If Corey Crossing-Maris there, obviously him. Wide receivers, though, it comes down to a few names. And Quentin Johnson, Cedric Tillman, Keishon Boutte, Calvin Austin are kind of the 4 main ones. A very little deeper, I really like Troy Franklin. He was the wide receiver 2 on this team this week. 4 catches, 40 yards. Marvin Mims, 3 catches, 12, 15 yards, and a fumble. Passer 10. Barely was on the field at all. No catches, if I'm not mistaken. So I think Troy Franklin will be the wide receiver 2 in this offense. Is young, former connection with Bo Nix. I think he can take over. Evan Ingram suffered an injury. Not sure how long that's going to be. But I really like Troy Franklin as a sneaky ad. Now, as far as tight end ads, if Brenton Strange is available on your waiver wire, snatch that man up immediately. He actually led the Jags in receiving yards. I forgot to mention him in that game wrap-up, in that recap. But he is my best tight end waiver wire out of the week, for sure. Outside of that, Juwan Johnson is probably my favorite right now. The thing is, when Taysom Hill comes back from the IR, what will it be like? We will see. I'm not sure. But I will say this: I do really like Juwan Johnson for the next few weeks at least. He's a really big ad. That about wraps it up. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe. Have a good afternoon. Hope you guys did great in your fantasy matchups. Enjoy the weekend of football and looking forward to week 2.